What's up, y'all? It's been a long time since this is called the Prophecy Seminar. Lesson 4. It's called Conflict Through the Centuries. While the second chapter of Daniel is part of the historical section of the book, nevertheless, it contains one of the most amazing prophecies, the prophecy found in this chapter. Hold on. In this chapter is the foundation upon which all of the other prophecies in Daniel are built. Okay, let's go up to the top. Okay, hold on. Hold on a second, y'all. That's what that word is, okay? All right. In order to comprehend the prophecy of Daniel, the principles of repetition in online outline prophecy must be understood. And on and outline prophecies is one that covers the whole span of time from the prophet's day until the second coming of Christ. Daniel 2 begins with the Babylonian Empire and culminates in the return of Jesus Christ. All of the prophecies in Daniel covers the same basic outline. However, each sequence prophecies adds significant details that were not included in the initial one. In other words, hold on. In other words, the rest of the prophecies expand. Each they explain what is initially covering in broad sweeps in Daniel 2. The focal point of each expanse expenses is always on the end time. Thus, we finish we finish our study of the book of Daniel, we will have an accurate and somewhat detailed history of the world from Daniel's day to the end of time. Okay? Another factor we should keep in mind in trying to understand the prophecy of Daniel is that the only nation that are mentioned in Daniel's prophecies are those nations that affect the covenant people of God. Some wonder why China and other great nations of antiquity were never mentioned in Scripture. The reason is simple. The Bible is the Bible is only concerned with those nations that impact on God's chosen people. Therefore, the various empires that appear in Scripture are those that come in contact with the covenant people of God. Let's begin this fascinating study of Daniel 2 and discover how accurately God foretold world history. So we see, all right, let's look. Let me front camera. Okay. Yeah, we got the front camera back. So that was an introduction going into, we see that it talked about the Babylonians. Babylon is talking about the people who instated reinstate create this thing. Christianity is not organic. It's they took it, added things with it, twisted it. And when you twist things, that's a form of um you're twisting scripture. You taking it to try to lie on it to make it mean something else. Who were the Babylonians? The Babylonians were an ancient people and civilization centered on the city of Babylon in Mesopotamia, in modern day Iraq, known for their significant contributions to law and mathematics, astronomy, and literature. They established powerful empires, most no, notably the old Babylonian Empire under Hannibal and the Babylonian Empire in their culture, blending Samaritan and uh Arcadad. I don't even know how to even say that. People, that looks sound like a Greek word. It's Akkadian. Traditions with Arc Arkandid. Hold on. Knocked it off. The Babylonians were the ancient people from the time of Mesopotamian, and the modern day Babylonians would be the Greeks, because you have to understand Israel, the Israelites went into 7 captivities. You see? Hold on. It knocked it off. Okay. Hannibal was we talked about Hannibal one day. Hannibal was the one that did with the first Punic War, the second Punic War, and it says the Babylonian Empire under Hannibal and Neo, Babylonian Empire and their culture blended Samaritan Akkadian tradition with Akkadian remain an important language for official use. Origin and graphically. The ancient city of Babylon was located in southern Mesopotamia on the Euphrates River. The term Babylonian can refer to the people of the city or the state and an empire that grew from it. Key empires and rulers. Old Babylonian Empire in the 19th and the 16th century BCE, the Amorite dynasty rose to power, culminating the rule of Hannibal. They incarnated, I would say that was incarnated the rule of Hannibal. Okay? Hannibal, he explained Babylonian rule through conquest and allowance, promoted scientists and scholarship, and created the famous Code of Hannibal, Babylonian Empire in 612 to 539 BCE, a powerful empire that included much of the Assyrian territory, with Nebuchadnezzar being a prominent ruler. I would say Nebuchadnezzar, he was a Babylon, the ancient Babylonian kingdom. He was the one that promoted things outside of the Bible. He wanted to be worshipped. We clearly see that he wanted to be worshipped. And if anybody worshiped anybody, Nebuchadnezzar was a heathen kingdom, and he forced people is to uh, bow to his language and accept their culture and worship their gods other than the God of the universe. Because see, the God that Nebuchadnezzar was promoting was not the same God of the Hebrews. You see what I'm saying? It was not the same God of the Hebrews. The God of the Hebrews worshiped the Torah, the true Torah of the Bible. They worship the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, worship which would be the 613 commandments. You know what I'm saying? Um, yeah, so that would be the true, not because the Hebrew God worship on the Sabbath day, which would be a Saturday. You see what I'm saying? But the heathens named the days Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and all of that, and the moon and stuff. That's what the Babylonians did. The Babylonians, they named each day. They named Monday after the moon. That's how you got Monday. They named Wednesday Woodens Day because that was the day that they bowed to altars or worship and bow down to altars, stuff like that. So we have a reason that's actually going into the history of how Sunday was the sun's god, and we gonna get off into that. Okay, scientists and mathematics, Babylonians made significant advancements in inherited Samaritan sex gun and base 60 contained systems and developed sophisticated mathematical texts, astronomy and astrology. All of that's going into these people, what is all this stuff called the Ouija bowl and Ouija ball and reading the fortunes and being fortune tellers and all this stuff that had nothing to do with God, these witchcraft medias and all that type of shit. All of that shit developed from ancient Babylon, similar to, it's really the same thing that people worship today. Witchcraft, all that shit. You see what I'm saying? Witchcraft and all that stuff. That's how you get our people. This is like a generation of curse, and this is the reason why you actually. I was looking at Brother Melon Wisdom. Shout out to them. He was teaching his kids the Bible. I said, I wish I had a. We not here to try to uh, make our genetic people feel some type of way, but we just gonna tell the truth. They're under the curse, and because they're under the curse, those are the people who are chosen people. More than likely, was exposed to a lot of that stuff. Was they was it was forced upon the Christians. Because if you look in Babylon Temple of Two on page 126, they actually force people to be baptized under the Greek gods, or whatever you want to call it, or the Babylonian gods. They actually force people into that BS and bullshit. You know what I'm saying? You were forced into worshiping a white man's culture, a white man's God, and stuff like that, and so on. So let's go and let's look at how we not gonna get. Oh, I was supposed to be reading the rest of this stuff down here, but that's all right. We'll get up. We'll just all right. How did Sunday come into play, and how did Constantine worship Sunday? That's how what we want to talk about. Yeah, that's what we want to talk about. And I want to give you, most of us know this already. Sunday became a day of rest due to Constantine in 321 AD decree, which made it a legal public holiday to unify the empire by blending pagan and Christian practices. While the law was not specific, I mean, excuse me, specific, while the law was specifically uh, Christian worship day, but a venerable day of the sun, and its effect reinforced the growing Christian traditions of Sunday as their day of worship, as early Christians were already gathering on Sunday for services and remembering of the resurrection. God never said go to church on Sunday because of the resurrection. But you got people that loves, you just actually got people just by nature that loves to follow the tradition of men. And that's Esau exalted that day. Esau would be the biblical name for so-called white people. They forced that upon our people. How Sunday became a day of rest and worship. Roman roots, Sunday or Die Solis, day of the sun, was already a significant day of rest for pagans in the Roman Empire. Constantine decreed on March the 7th, 321 AD, Empire. Constantine issued a civil decree making Sunday a mandatory day of worship for judges and city people and the craftsmen to promote unity across the diverse empire. Diverse empire, that means universal, diverse, spread it across everywhere. Pagan and Christian blending, Constantine decreed, was a politically motivated efforts to unite his empire by alleged with both pagan traditions, sun worship, and a Christian practice that was already developed. This is how a lot of people got under the influence of slavery that was forced upon our people by the slave master, and not knowing that all of these things, like I give you a perfect example. I did a video about it. 500 years being enslaved here in America. Our people, the Christianity was one of the worst things that was ever given to black people, our people, Hispanics, and Native American. You'll be out there in the streets debating our people, and you can show them the history of this stuff, and they still gonna sit there and tell you, oh well, we supposed to forgive our those that hurt us and all that type of stuff. No, the Bible tells you is to forgive the nation of your Hebrew brother, not the same enemy that's enslaved you for over 500 years. He's not telling you is to forgive those people. He's telling you is to forgive your brother. Our people, that's what he's talking about. When you go and you read Deuteronomy chapter 15 and 12, the Bible says, if thy Hebrew brother and Hebrew man woman be sold unto thee and serve thee 6 years, then in the seventh year you should let him go out free, and you should not send him away empty. It's telling you to forgive and love. It's telling you how that in that context is telling you how to love your Hebrew brother. That's all it is. Pagan Christians, okay, I read that already. All right. Did Constantine change the Sabbath from Saturday to Sunday? We all know this. Did Con- it says in the year 321 AD, Constantine decreed on the venerable day of the sun, let the magistrates and people reading resign in sites rest, and let all workshops be closed. Cox Justinus, Libet 3, Tick 12, 3, Trends, and Philip Schaff, History of the Christian Church, volume 3, page 380, note 1. Constantine seems to have made this change himself and not through the papacy, since the papacy had not really come to come in to bring at that time. The papacy grew gradually and out of the office of bishop, and for many years this was centered in Rome. In any case, it should be noted that in doing this, Constantine is not changing the Sabbath. He is merely making Sunday, which is what I was saying earlier, the official day of rest for the Roman Empire. His motivation was probably not born out of hatred for the Jews. It is hard to say for sure why Constantine or any historical figure did what they did, but out of a desire to adopt what the Christians see, we adopt this saying, oh, forgive your enemy. Let me ask you this here. Forgiving the same people that enslaved you, it's over 500 years. Where have this gotten you? How can George Floyd? Because I hear a lot of people on YouTube be saying, "Oh, it's only for your peace. It's for your peace." And women knows how to turn around and manipulate that bullshit. They do. They know how to manipulate it. They know how to talk it and twist it and make that shit sound real good because they are the ones. That's why the Bible called them the weaker vessel. Men do that shit too because they know how to manipulate when they don't want to give up that Christian. Oh, well, you need God in your life. No, you need to bring your brainwashed ass from up under religion. Religion is the one. You know why you people accept and believe that we supposed to love everybody when the Bible don't even teach that bullshit? The damn Christian white man religion. That's what got your ass believing that shit. That's why I regret. I really being a so-called 7 day Adventist or whatever, I regret I ever got into that bullshit. Now, what I'm saying is that has nothing to do with the commandments in the Bible and keeping the Sabbath and all that type of stuff. That's in the Bible. We talking about religion, forgiving the same people who raped, robbed, and enslaved you, and all of a sudden now we're gonna all be in heaven together, and we're gonna sit up in there. Well, that's just your opinion. Get the hell up out of here with that. For the Bible said many are deceived by their own vain opinion. And religion was an opinion that was created, it was man-made. Do your research. We'll come back and read the rest of this a little bit later. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna read the part where it talks about Constantine envisioned a flame of a cross in the sky. He saw a vision of God or something like that. Anonymous history of 1.5, Constantine's vision of the cross. He saw a vision of the cross. Let's see here. Constantine cross in the sky. Let's see if the words was kind of small. October the 27th, Constantine's cross in the sky, the vision that transformed Rome. This is the day Constantine the Great saw the vision of the cross before the Battle of Melbourne Bridge in 312 AD. In today's lesson, we will explore the profound impact of personal encounter with God, inspired by Constantine's vision before a pivotal battle. How does God reach out to us in our modern world? What can we learn from historical divine intervention that applies to our daily walk with God? Okay. This date in history, the sun was setting on October the 27th, 312 AD, casting a long shadow across the Roman countryside. Constantine the Great has blue flowing with concern stood at the edge of his military camp, and his eyes fixed on the distinct uh Sala light or something like that. Satellite of Rome. Tomorrow he would face his revival Maxis, Maxensis, Maxis in a battle that would determine the fate of the Roman Empire as the twin light, the deepening. Constantine witnessed a sight that would, after the course of history, a blazing cross of light appeared in the sky, accompanied by the words, "And this sign conquer." This vision came at a crucial moment in Rome, in the Roman history. The the empire was frustrated, divided amongst multiple culminations to the imperial throne. Constantine, born around 272 AD, and in what is now, let's see here, Sir Sebra has been proclaimed Augustine by his troops. Troops is like a large numbers or something. Okay. In 306 AD, following the death of his father, Constantine Chronicles. However, his claim was contested by several rivals, chief amongst them Max Ma, mixed mixes who control Rome and Italy. Now, some of the words I kind of got messed up a little bit. The political landscape leading to this confrontation was a complex and violated. The Roman Empire has been ruled by a treachery or something system of four co-empires established by Duncan. Hold on, Documentation, Dicotation. I don't even know what that is, y'all. I'm sorry. Some of these words they knew. I'm gonna have to go back and relook them up. This system quickly unrevived after retirement in 305 AD, pledged plugging the empire into civil war. Constantine ruled from Gaul and Britain and saw an opportunity to seize control of the entire Western Roman Empire by challenging Maxis. Okay, see, that's what it was. Constantine did this when his father died. This vision came at a crucial moment in Rome history. The empire was frustrated, divided amongst multitude culmination to the imperial throne. Constantine, born around 272 AD, and what is now Sarb, has been proclaimed Augustine by troops in 306 AD. Following the death of his father, Constantine, that's what happened. So that's the part that I want to focus on. He followed the death, following the death of his father, Constantine Charles, however, has claimed was contested by several rivals, chief amongst them Maxis, who can control Rome and Italy. See, they had a lot of stuff going on in Italy over there too. So uh we see how Sunday came into play. Constantine had a vision of a flame of a cross in the sky, and he saw in the vision that he would conquer. He was going to be a conqueror, and that justified them of going to church on the first day of the week. You know, this vision came at a crucial moment in Roman history. The empire was frustrated, divided amongst multitude culmination to the imperial throne. Constantine, born around 272 AD, and what is now Siberia, whatever, I don't know, and has been a proclaimed Augustine by the troops in 306 AD, following the death of his father. Constantine choice, however, his claim was contested by several revivals, chief amongst them Maxis, who controlled Rome and Italy. Yeah, so that's what happened. He claimed that God gave him a vision, and we have to understand that if it don't line up with the Bible, you know what I'm saying? He said, if they speak not according to this words, because there's no light in there. Because see, the enemy can give you visions too, and it does happen. Yep. You can go right there in Deuteronomy 13. It simply give you the answer. It give you a warning and let you know what's real and what's ain't. If this happened, then it's real. If it don't come to pass, it ain't real. Sometimes you still have to show some people though. Let's look at Deuteronomy, and this is gonna be the last script. Deuteronomy 13:1. If there arise amongst you a prophet or a dreamer of dreams, so-called prophet, and give thee a sign or wonder, and the sign or the wonder come to pass, whereof he spake unto thee, saying, let us go after other gods which thou hast not known, and let us serve them. Thou shalt not hearken unto the words of that prophet, or dream of dream. For the Lord your God proven you to know whether ye love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul. Verse 4. And ye shall walk after the Lord your God and fear him and keep his commandments. See that? And keep his commandments and obey his voice. That means the voice of God is this Bible, keeping the commandments. And ye shall serve him and cleave unto him. Verse 5. And that prophet or that dream of dreams shall be put to death. That's the key word. Because he has spoken to turn you away from the Lord your God. See, Constantine, the leaders, those were considered the leaders, the slave masters and stuff like that, the forefathers of the repeated enforcing doctrines up on the real Jews. And that's what had happened. The Most High said that prophet or that dream of dream shall be put to death. That means they're gonna get judged for misleading and telling people, oh well, you forgive your enemy, you forgive this and no, that ain't what the Bible's telling you to do. You got to do your research on it. And the best way is to learn and to do something. Just ask questions. That's all. So I'm going to get up out of here. I'm see y'all later. Conflict through the centuries, part 4. All right. I got to finish that lesson. All right.